Hi guys, this is Courtney, and if you like this content, please give a thumbs up and please subscribe to my page. I am not actively doing this as a job, but I actually would love to grow the page some and share what I'm doing with other people. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what changes have been made since going plant-based. And I'd like to give you a quick little bit of history. From about 2000, well, no, gosh, I'm almost 50. So back when I was a kiddo, about 7 years old, I got off of meat and pork. And that was because I was allergic to beef and pork and had a really violent reaction. I then, as I got a little bit older, went completely vegetarian, but I still ate cheese and eggs. I slowly would let meat slip back into my life. I didn't eat fast food hardly or anything like that, but I wasn't super healthy. In school back in the 80s, I would get a hamburger and take the meat off of it. I was just so allergic. And then I also just felt better eating less meat back then. Well, as I grew and got married, I won't go into the other specifics of it because it probably bore the pants off of you. I started eating a little bit more meat as I had children. I raised my children having meat maybe about 4 times a week in total, not 4 times a day, but 4 times in total a week. We just didn't buy that much, and I used it more as like a condiment than the main deal. So we might have vegetable soup with a little bit of hamburger in it, but I would double the beans and have less hamburger. And so my health has been pretty good, except for I developed Hashimoto's thyroiditis in my 20s. And then I developed a chronic illness when I was late 20s. But as far as like my heart and my cholesterol and my weight, that's always been fairly normal. I was seeing some weight creep as I got older. I have had 4 pregnancies. And so what happened is, your body just changes. And as you get older, a few pounds here and there. So the past, I'm going to say 10 years, my weight kind of fluctuated up and down. I was doing mostly vegetarian. Actually, I don't even know what to call it. I've always called it flexitarian. And I consider flexitarian someone who eats a plant-heavy diet with a little bit of meat and fish, but you don't go crazy. So primarily vegetarian meals, but some animal products, just not a ton, less than a carnivore or someone who eats a standard American diet. About 2018, I was diagnosed with a congenital heart problem. I have told my parents my whole life, my family, that I had heart chest pain. And sure enough, I have 3 different problems in my heart. But again, I don't have high cholesterol. I don't have hardening of my arteries. My liver's fine. It seems to be either a virus that I got that may have caused it, or I was possibly born this way, which I think is likely, or was born this way and something happened to me, like the illness or the thyroid. There are some studies that people who have this certain thyroid condition tend to have elevated pressure in their heart. And so something happened along the way. And it's something that I have to live with, that if I became unhealthy, it could be life-threatening. Also, I had gotten to a point where I had gained quite a bit of weight. Like for me, I was about 8 pounds heavier than my heaviest weight, but I was lifting weights, working out. So I was pretty muscular and evenly balanced, and I just kind of have that build anyway. But definitely getting where my pants were getting tight, and I was wearing the larger size of things that I had. So when I got sick and they found out that I was having the problems, I decided to go low carb. The only thing I could do was think I need to lose weight. And so I decided to do that, and my husband's cholesterol went up over 100 points because I was doing low carb. Now let me preface to you, we were not eating a ton of red meat. We were eating red meat maybe once, twice a month. Chicken, fish, turkey is what we were mainly eating. A lot of vegetables, but we had added in high-fat dairy and a ton more eggs, like maybe a carton of eggs a week between 2 people, which was a lot for us because we didn't do that before. And the other one was we were eating, high-fat dairy, a lot of nuts and I was making a lot of high fat desserts because on low carb you eat high fat and that gets your appetite down. So I lost all the weight and went down and got down to the lowest weight I have been since my 30s. Well, with my husband's health being bad, I just did some research and I thought my diet is making him sick. And I'm the primary cook. My husband works 2 jobs. He would cook if he were, I'm sure we'll switch when he retires. But it's just he works himself to death and I don't mind being the cook. I take on that role. I love to cook. So we have gone completely plant-based, and I'm going to say 95% plant-based, and I'll tell you why. And then I'm going to tell you the benefits I have seen and also some other things that I have noticed change. So we went completely plant-based with, I have used some mozzarella cheese one time, and at another time we went out to eat, and I haven't gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, don't cook my food in oil or butter. I just eat my vegetables as they come. And so I haven't been too OCD about that. I'm not having milk-based like dressings or things like that. In some things I've held the cheese and the croutons. I don't eat sugar and I don't eat gluten either because I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, which I have no signs of that right now because of the way I've been eating the past year and a half, but only been fully plant-based the past month. So I have noticed, this is what I've noticed since we've gone completely plant-based, except for a little bit of butter, maybe a tiny, tiny bit of dairy. But for the most part, that may be one thing per week, maybe 4 times in the whole 5 or 6 weeks we've been doing this. I have been sleeping better. I have been sleeping more sound. I was getting to where I was sleeping about 9 hours a night, and I have been waking up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed after about 7 hours of sleep. And I don't feel as groggy when I do wake up. The second thing is I have lost 3 inches, and this is in a month. My weight has gone down 2.5 pounds, which isn't that much. So I've always heard that dairy makes you kind of fluffy, for lack of a better word, and I do think that barely eating any dairy has really had an impact on my weight. I also work out, but I haven't changed anything with my working out. Actually, I'm doing less strength training than I was before. I was really shocked this morning to measure my thighs and my waist. My waist is smaller right now than it has been in 20 years. I have a ton more energy. Now, I will say there was a couple weeks there when I was adjusting that I was feeling very tired and weak. There's a lot of illness going around right now. I'm not completely sure that I wasn't fighting something off, but I had a few days, I upped my B12 and my D3, and I started feeling good. The major thing I have noticed, and you hear people say this when you do the research, but I cannot explain it until you've gone through it, is I'm having a lot less depression and anxiety. I feel really clean on the inside. I wouldn't classify myself as classically depressed or anxious, but I worried a lot about my kids. I worried a lot about the future. I just was, I had a lot of worry. I'm a stress management specialist, a yoga therapist, so I have the tools and I was doing all the tools, but there was just this like sense of, I jokingly called it my existential dread. Like I just had this sense of dread and I wanted it to go away, and I was doing all the things. I was meditating, exercising, eating healthy for the most part. But since I have quit eating animal products, it is completely gone. It's like just a joy is the only thing I can say. I feel more joyful. So those are the main benefits I have seen. Now, there are some other changes that are not directly related to my body. The food bill thing has been a really challenge for me. I've been trying to cut our food bill for a long time. And so I have purchased a lot of things that are vegan or I guess what you might call vegan processed foods, like vegan meats. At first, I tried to do it without having any substitute meats or any kind of substitutes at all. And just like, well, except butter, I used the vegan butter. I got some vegan cheese, some vegan meat substitutes. Because I wasn't eating that many carbs, and I finally just gave up and was like, you know what? I'm either going to be plant-based or not plant-based, but I'm not going to stress out if I eat a veggie burger or if I use some Daiya cheese on a pasta bake. Daiya Cutting Board is a really good cheese. It's a substitute that is vegan, and it helps me not miss cheese. So once I kind of did that and I stopped like stressing out about it, it's helped. But it definitely feels like there for the past month, the food bill was getting really high. And that's because I just didn't know what I was doing. I feel like I kind of have a handle on that now. But the other thing was I had not been eating carbs. I had been eating about 70 grams of carbs a day. And I was really stressed. I don't remember the last time I ate a potato. And so I don't eat French fries. I don't eat like baked potatoes. I eat sweet potatoes. And so I just have kind of started doing some research about that. And I've been allowing more carbs in. So my gross carbs for the day before I take out the fiber, somewhere around 130, 150. And the normal American eats somewhere between 200 and 300 a day. And so what I've been doing is, but I've been getting 30 to 50 grams of fiber a day. And I know that may be shocking for some people, but I've always eaten a lot of fiber. So I eat a ton of plants. So that's not a problem for me. So my net carbs have been right at 100 every day, and I'm still losing weight. And I even had a potato for the first time yesterday. I cooked it in just a tiny bit of oil and water, crisp it up, add some water, and like a fried potato, and I still was losing weight. So I just wanted to give you guys the update, the changes. I mainly am the type of person that has to go all in. I can't just put my toe in the water. I have to get in and do something completely to really do it. And so I've decided that this year is the year of me being plant-based and seeing what kind of changes it makes. I think that a month is great, but I think you really need a long-term commitment to something to really see how it happens. That's how I gave up sugar years ago. That's how I gave up gluten years ago. And the few times I have cheated, because let's face it, some, holidays, your grandma bakes apple pie. What are you going to do? Like, I'm not eating your apple pie, grandma. I have had, the few times I have cheated, I have been freaking miserable, and it is so not worth it. So if I do have to eat carbs or something like that, I have a little pill now. It's called or not carbs, gluten. It's called a gluten blocker, and that helps, but I rarely ever cheat. So I just wanted to share that with you. I hope that helps someone out there. If you like this content, please again, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.